I couldn't stick around knowing you like us. How many more years till we talk like us? I probably should've told you it felt like us. I was in your head, painting me in red, letting my jealousy bury me instead. Like I don't wanna say I gotta leave, but it's like that. I've been doing me, still trying to get my life back. In hindsight, why'd you wanna waste mine? I try to call cause I miss you at the same time. Don't wanna fall, but you hit me with the way I'm only ever yours when I'm trying to pull away. Like I couldn't stick around knowing you're like us.
So after I'd bought the boat, the old owner, Colin, allowed me to come up and paint the bottom of her and do some jobs that I needed to do before the day when the crane arrived. Okay, so the day came and first of all they sent the wrong size crane. So I was waiting around all day because it couldn't get into the drive physically. And then later on they sent another one which broke down. A part blew off the intercooler and then they had to fix that. And then they came around and eventually late in the day, about 5 o'clock, the crane came up. And then the guys picked up my mast to try and put it on the back of the lorry, which had been hanging around all day. And they smashed, they picked the boat up, there you go. They swung it into the crane leg and put a massive dent in the boat. Yeah. I'd been working on the boat and painting it, it had taken me weeks, so I was absolutely mortified. And then eventually they got the boat in the air and honestly I was petrified something was going to happen, something else worse was going to happen. Anyway, in the end they did manage to get it onto the back of the Arctic, but then they realised they couldn't put the mast on as well, so I had to arrange the mast to be brought down by someone else at a later date. Also because they dented the boat, I'd arranged for riggers to be in Dartmouth the next day and the boat to go straight into the water. That's why I asked Colin if I could paint the bottom of the boat there, so I could just put it on the lorry, take it down to Dartmouth the next day and put it straight in the water, step the mast, and we'd be ready. We'd be all done in one go. Of course, after they dented it, the boat couldn't go in the water because the dent had to be repaired. Yeah, so basically I was stressing out like mad, and then I filled the van up with stuff. So the van was like the suspension on my van was right down because I had anchors in there, chain, a hydrovane, all the sails and lots of other bits and pieces. So literally the van was completely full. And then they got the boat eventually on the back of the lorry, and then we had to go out this tiny lane. We had to get permission from the farmer to cut down some trees along the lane. That's how tight the lane was to get out of. And after they got the boat on the lorry, just to get round the next corner took us about 40 minutes. And then me and Colin were on the top of the boat on the lorry with a chainsaw cutting down bits of trees until eventually it took about an hour. We managed to get out of this lane in the middle of Cornwall. Anyway, eventually they managed to get Rebecca onto the Arctic truck and off it went, heading to Dartmouth. And I got in my van and drove from Cornwall to Dartmouth and slept in the van overnight. And in the morning I got up and drove to Darthaven car park where the boat was going to. That night I had to sleep on literally the sails that I'd put in the van, and my head was touching the top of the van. It was so full of stuff. But in the morning I was happy to see the boat had arrived at the marina without any further damage. But the boat's just arrived now in Dartmouth. Here she is coming into Dartmouth. So Rebecca arrived at Darthaven Marina, which is one of the top marinas in Dartmouth. And the guy said that I had to pay for the hire of the lorry. And I said that I wasn't going to give them any money for the hire of the lorry until they'd sort out the damage that they'd done to the boat. So we had to get someone from Darthaven to come and give an estimate how much it would be to repair the dent in the bottom of the boat, which they did, and gave me a price, and then we took that off the cost of the lorry, and that was all sorted. And then I had to go and see Ben to see if they could put me on the hard for a week, and luckily he was able to fit me in. So I stayed in Darthaven for a week, putting all the stuff on the top of the boat and putting everything back together, which turned out to be great in the end. I think it would have been too much of a rush to do it all in one day. Yeah, so it's been a long day today, but really good. The boat came here in the morning after the disaster that was yesterday. Shit. Yesterday was a nightmare. It was just a nightmare. Oh God, it's hard to explain. Although the last couple of days had been a complete nightmare for me, it was time to sort of get into the habit of doing jobs on the boat and enjoying where you were. And I was so glad actually that I decided to pick the mooring to be in Dartmouth for the boat, because it is a pretty spectacular place. And I made friends with the guy next to me on the Contessa 32 and got the dent fixed in the boat as well. So that was great. And then it took me a week, and I put all the stanchions back on the boat and had the mast sent to Nos Marina. And then a week later, after the boat had been repaired, it was time for her to go in the water. And I've got to tell you, there's something completely unnatural about seeing your boat in the air. Boats should be in the water. They shouldn't be suspended on strops above your head. It's just weird. So here we are, we're off. My first trip on Rebecca. And there's Dartmouth behind me. And there's the marina that we just left. And now I'm heading down here to Nos Marina. And everything's good so far. It works and we're floating, so it's all good. I'm going very slowly at the moment just to get used to the boat and see how she feels, but so far so good. So before I took the boat into Nos Marina, I decided to take her for a little jaunt down the river as a little bit of a treat for me, but also just to get used to the handling of the boat, because I soon found out that she doesn't turn on the spot, this boat. She's got a long keel and a big rudder, and so I was happy to sort of take her out for a little bit of a test run. And I remember feeling a bit nervous because it was the first time I had to bring the boat in by myself to a marina. I mean, I did radio the guys at Nos Marina and they were catching the ropes, but it was my first time sort of mooring the boat by myself and I didn't know what to expect. So my God, my heart was in my throat, but in the end we got there and everything turned out okay in the end. But I remember being super nervous about it. And then I had to go back to Cheltenham for some work, but I asked Peterson's, the riggers, to put my mast on while I wasn't there, and they did all the rigging for me and put everything on and did a great job, and then put her back on her mooring. So then they sent me some photos of her so I could see them. And this is my Sea Eagle, which was my first tender, which was completely impractical, but it did move quite well. And this is Jane and Joe and their new puppy, and they were one of the first friends to go out sailing properly. And you can see in this clip that I'm super excited because I've got friends round and it's the first time I'm properly got my sails up with friends on the boat, and we went for a little sail. But she started taking in water, so we didn't stay out too long. But it was nothing serious and we sorted it out, and then we went back that evening and went and moored outside the pub in Ditsham and had a lovely evening. So we're heading off now. I'm heading off to Phil's boat, which is called Keeley. I'm going to go for a little sail, do some fishing or something like that. And here's Rebecca. This is what she looks like at the moment, with her solar panels on and various guns. That's the new solar panels I put on. Just varnished her this morning, and then I put on a tiller clutch just under the tiller. The wind vane system's ready to go, and there she is, sails and all. And there's Max. Max, come on. Come on, let's go sailing. What do you think? What there's going to be like? Rough? Oh dear. There she is. Permission to come on board, sir.
Yeah, come on.
Come on in, Max. Come on. Come on. Come on now. Come on. Whoop. Good boy. Ooh. Max wants to come in. Go on then, Max.
Does that do video as well?
Yeah, I'm videoing it, yeah. It's, come on then. So we headed out on Phil's boat, sailed out to the Skerries Banks, and Phil gave me a fishing rod that he had on board, and I caught some mackerel, and then we set the rod out, and what would you know, a little bit later on I had to fish on. This is a dogfish, but if you've ever picked up one of these things, they've got skin and it's like sandpaper, but they're a member of the shark family as well, so I gave him a little kiss and chucked him back in because he was a bit small. Okay, so ray of the day. Well, we've been out to the Skerries Banks today, had a lovely sail and caught lots of fish. So fresh fish for tea tonight. 3 mackerel, 1 sand eel, 1 dogfish and 2 thornback ray. We let the dogfish go though because it was a little bit too small, but we kept the ray and the mackerel. We used one of the mackerel for bait, and we've had a fantastically successful day, and we're just gonna mosey on back into the harbour now and have some wine and fresh fish. Isn't that right, Max? Max? What did you say? Did you enjoy today? Max said, "Don't be stupid. Silly man." I was taking Rebecca out more frequently now by myself and learning a little bit every time, a little bit more. I still had to learn lots about the boat, and I still had to learn how to be a little bit more tidy. Look at that fender sat there, it's disgraceful. The dog's asleep as usual.
Yeah. Life is good.
So I'd been out sailing around Torquay, and it was a gorgeous day, and it was nice and breezy. The sun was shining, and on the way back I noticed some gannets and seagulls diving into the water, and as I watched them and as the boat went closer, I could see something moving in the water. Now if you look at the top of the screen now, at the top in the right hand corner, you'll see the waves breaking, and that is actually a pod of dolphins coming to greet me. Look, here they come now. And it was incredible. That was not the first time that I'd seen dolphins, but it was the first time that I'd had them when I was on my boat by myself. And they followed me towards Dartmouth for about 20 minutes. And as you can see there, I'm really excited. There's just nothing like seeing dolphins in the wild. It doesn't matter how many times I see them now, I still get excited, and it still makes you feel wonderful inside. There's just something about them. They're supposed to be good luck, but they're just fantastic. They're wonderful animals, and they obviously have a curiosity that rivals any animals. And there's the birds there as I'm leaving, as I'm heading off back towards Dartmouth. And there was obviously, I would imagine there was a school of small fish there, possibly mackerel or some small bait fish or something like that, and that's what they were after. But they left their feeding and they came in, decided to have a little jolly with me, which I really appreciated. It made the end of a great day even better. Nice. So I was just sailing back from Torquay, and I saw a load of seagulls just diving into the water, and then I just saw a pod of dolphins with them. They're obviously going fishing together, and they just came up and said hello and rode with me for a bit, and yeah, it's fantastic stuff. It's what makes all the hard work worth it. Cool. I love dolphins. Here's Max making sure everything's alright as we head back into Dartmouth. He likes to have a little walk around on deck when we come back in. Next time we're off to Salcombe. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please subscribe, hit the button below and like, and you'll see all my latest videos when they come out. Morning. So, from Sydney the Seal and me, fair winds in following seas, and see you next time.